Hey guys, welcome to the Manchester United News channel. Subscribe to the channel to not miss any news, leave your like, and share, you are very important for the growth of the channel. Let's go to the video.
Overnight, we've got this story breaking about Manchester United. Where do you stand on this? There's lots going on, isn't there, at the moment?
Yeah, big story. I mean, it's the overarching theme really for the past year since the Glazers put the club up for sale, a strategic review, as they also called it. But it's been something that has been in the background the whole while, all throughout the summer transfer window. And yeah, the Mail on Sunday have written a report. Nick Harris and Alex Miller. Nick Harris is a long-standing journalist on this kind of thing, talking about how they don't think that their value has been met by the bidding parties, and they're going to take the club off the market, and they think that in a few years they can get maybe as much as £10 billion. This has been something that I've heard myself, that there has been sort of strong suggestions that Qatar, Sheikh Jassim's bid, might have made progress in recent weeks, but then on the same token, you hear sort of the responses that they haven't actually heard much coming back from the Glazers and from Ray and the bank handling the sale. So, and I do think that ultimately only the Glazers really know what's happening, particularly Joel and Avram, the two siblings that are most engaged on this. Joel is across transfer dealings all summer. He's been very much giving the sign-off for different bids that have been made at different points. Only they really know what they want from the club, from this strategic review, and so it's difficult to exactly pick out where it's going to go. But the noises that I hear, it doesn't feel like it's going to be announced anytime soon.
There was hints of this, a few months ago. I think we were talking about it before, and it was kind of like, are they really for sale anymore? If you take so long to sell your house, you just almost pull it back off the market and then do something. It feels like that. The timing of this, before a huge game against Arsenal, Carvey, could it be better? Could it be worse?
I think if this was coming directly from the Glazers, it wouldn't be coming on the morning of a big game against Arsenal. I think if they were timing an announcement that they were going to take the club off the market, they maybe would wait until the day after the game to do it. Having said this, the two journalists who've written this story are brilliant journalists, have impeccable sources. You should take anything they write very, very seriously indeed. But we've known all along that the Glazers have never come out and actually said the club is for sale. All they did last November was come out and say they were looking at different strategic alternatives, possibilities that may lead to a sale. So even people who've been involved in the process have never been convinced that the Glazers actually want to sell the club. But when you look at the state that United are in, they need new owners because the Glazers are not going to put in the investment that is required for a new stadium, to overhaul the infrastructure. There's a lot of money that needs to be spent. And I still think that when it comes to their ownership model, what has happened to Manchester United has been a stain on English football. There is no way that this takeover should have been allowed to happen to begin with. They took over a club that was debt-free, that was one of the crown jewels of world sport, one of the most famous football clubs in the world. And they bought it with borrowed money, £790 million. They borrowed £540 million. They only ever put in about £240 million of their own money. And yet now they're saying £5 billion isn't enough. They only ever put in £240 million. And there's talk today that they want £10 billion. Let's face it, they're not that interested in Manchester United. They've never been that interested in the club. Their ownership has cost United, about £1.5 billion? United have become a cash point for bankers, lawyers, hedge funds. And I cannot get my head around the fact that this has been allowed to happen. Which other club in the world would have allowed this to happen? You look at other clubs, PSG, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Real Madrid. Could this ever have happened there? Impossible. And what we've seen with ownership models of clubs, in the past couple of decades is people putting money into clubs. You've got states, you've got investors putting billions of pounds into clubs, and yet you've got a situation at United where money's been taken out of the club. So in a way, it's actually been good for English football because it's levelled the playing field, because it's held United back. But, I would just make one final point is, imagine if you had 2 hotels in central London and the owners of one hotel invested £2 billion in that hotel, making it the best hotel in the world and buying other hotels around the world and having a group of hotels. And the other hotel, the owners basically didn't do much apart from keep it ticking over, didn't invest in the facilities or the infrastructure, and we're actually taking £2 billion out of the club. After 18 years, which hotel would be in a better state? It's not rocket science,
no.
Yet this has been allowed to happen to Manchester United. And the Glazers have done nothing wrong. They haven't broken any rules. They haven't broken the law. It's what's been allowed to happen.
But the trouble is, I mean, the hotel is still standing. And
about.
yeah, and it's got people in it. No more so than Erik ten Hag. What must he be thinking this morning ahead of a huge game against Arsenal, and he's hearing this news?
I guess he will just be focused on the team and his players. He's very much a control kind of manager, discipline, and I think that's what his focus will be. But clearly, the what's going on above him is a concern to him in terms of he is invested in that. You know, I think he probably might have thought that actually there'd be investment by now from an outside source into the team. When he was, first told about this, that's what he spoke about. That his information, from the chief executive Richard Arnold, was that there would be, positive news at the end of all this. And we're here now still, as you talk about transfer deadline day. Sofiane Amrabat coming in, and they had to really squeeze that one and wait for the Dean Henderson money to come in from Crystal Palace before they could actually make that signing because of financial fair play, because they've really badly spent money in the recruitment department previously. And to Carve's point, you, as an owner, you are actually allowed to put money in that helps FFP. They could put £90 million in per year, and that kind of goes towards the balance sheet on that one. So theoretically, they could put money in, but as they touched on, the Glazers never have.
No.
So I think Erik ten Hag would, I'm sure he would love an ownership model that actually, sustained the club, and the sporting imperative was there at the top of the club. There have been some tweaks that they've done this season in terms of the new player lounge that they've got at Old Trafford. I think that's helped what Erik ten Hag wants to get from his team. Being able to have players in a controlled environment before the game. But generally, to Carver's point again, the stadium is the huge, big thing that really they need massive money. This is what kicked it all off. They need massive money to make it into a real place where people can come and enjoy themselves to the maximum, because it's a really great stadium, Old Trafford, but it's not been renovated since the Glazers took charge.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that all feeds into the kind of atmosphere around the place.
Thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel to not miss anything. Leave your like and your comment, that is very important for the channel growth. Until the next video.